it's really a good thing we have shared work, or, I could be at risk for losing the employees that I've put thousands and thousands of dollars of training into. And, they're part of our business family. So I don't want to lose them.
We were so overstaffed, during the COVID period. Of course, everyone thought we were going to slow down as soon as that pandemic hit, and we didn't.
Right.
It was awful for our staff. We were overworked and we couldn't find talent um, in our industry to fill it fast enough. So we started growing from within. So thousands of dollars, hours into our staff. You don't want to have to let them go. So this has been a real lifesaver for us too, because it is hard to replace escrow title professionals in the industry as quickly as we need them. So it's been a lifesaver for us too.
I do say it was a lifesaver, honestly. Would have survived, but we would have had to lay off maybe all but one.
I would say within a day or two. And throughout the years, we have renewed our shared work plan, kind of regardless of if we were certain if we were going to need it or not, but just to be proactive, kind of assuming that winter would come at some point. And each time it's been surprisingly quick and easy.
It's allowed us to retain our staff and shift workflows that still allows us to service our client. Um, and we don't really experience any downturn for them. So we've been able to retain our staff and bring our overhead down through this market shift.
It's it's really helped with the anxiety level of my employees, not having to worry about that. If they miss, 4 or 5 hours, or they know that at least a portion of it's going to be made up. And it's definitely created less stress for me too, because almost because it makes them feel more secure, then I'm okay with it. Either way, we're going to be here. But because I care about the well-being and the function of my business and the social interactions with my employees, um, it's really helped a lot. More so just with the anxiety of worrying about it. Honestly, it's one less thing I have to worry about.
It's given us a great amount of balance and flexibility to be able to pivot and budget our expenses wisely and be able to kind of know what's coming. And then just being able to retain skilled staff without having to worry about, God forbid, the fire word or rehire and yeah, layoffs. I mean, so, and it's given the employees as well, I think, a sense of security that, hey, we're doing this so that we don't have to take more dramatic measures. So, massive relief of anxiety in that sense as well. So, I actually had a hard time with this question because I was like, gosh, do I spend an hour? So, less than an hour for sure, if that. Very little.
Yeah, and actually, I'm even less than that. We have 8 employees, and not all of them are on the work share at any one time, just because we have different people that do different things. And the office staff usually is needed all the time. It's not really dependent so much on the flow of contractors in and out and the homeowners in and out. A little bit, but not so much, because there's more I could give them administrative work, and they could do that as well. But the people actually boots on the ground, so to speak, doing the slab fabricating and installing, that will wax and wane depending on the flow of business. Right now, we're kind of on the maintenance where if they want to claim, they do. If they don't, then they don't. And so I only get the statements when they have claimed, and then I just check the statement against their timesheet, and then I put it in the file, and that's it. Honestly, it takes me less than 10 minutes a week. It would take me a little bit longer if they accidentally claimed a different amount
Sure.
um, than on the timesheet that they turned into me and got paid for. So, and usually that's just about whether they used a sick hour or they just fat fingered it on the keyboard or something. Some of them do it on their phone, so it's easy to do that. But as long as you catch it right away, it's super easy to fix.
We went through a series of staff reductions prior to getting on the shared work program. So obviously morale was not great. And again, I think touching on that anxiety piece is huge. And this has been a stress release for people, or, you know, it gives them the comfort that, okay, I'm going to get partial payment, and it seems to be about 50% of what their daily pay is, which is great. And they get the benefit of a day off now, which is almost unheard of in our industry. We haven't seen a slowdown where we can actually enjoy. I mean, I heard a lot of comments throughout the holidays. Oh my gosh, I'm getting out of here on time. I get to enjoy the actual holiday season with my family and still collect payment and feel like they're still making ends meet on their end. So it is definitely changed the morale for our operation, and I'm sure other operations as well in our industry.
It just takes the stress off. And it's pretty rare that a government agency even cares about that. And maybe that wasn't the intention, but it certainly is the outcome. And the program is definitely, I would say, very much has the mindset that, or was it made with the mindset that ESD actually cares about employers and they actually care about the employee. It's pretty rare that an employer will get that feeling from government agencies or policies that are made. It's very rare. Usually the employer is the last one on the list to get the benefit of much. Usually we bear the brunt of all the taxes and all the social programs that get set in place without our input. And the employee is usually the focus of the benefits. But it's really helping us too. It really is. And that's rare.
When I initially signed up for shared work, I was worried that my employees would view it as a threat or a weakness. And I was really nervous about signing up for it because of that. And to my pleasant surprise, it has actually gone completely the other way. My employees have said to me, wow, we recognize that we're really lucky to have this job and that we're lucky to have this program. If we were somewhere else, we might just get laid off. That was really an aha moment for me where it was like, wow, great. They are viewing this as a benefit to them. And that's really a feel good thing for everyone. Because especially as a business owner, when you have the economy kind of working on you over here and you're trying to make your employees happy over here and make them feel great about their work situation and act like everything's okay when maybe it's not as okay as you would like them to think it is, to have that there as them, really feeling like more secure in their job, I think is just a tremendous bonus.
Uh, it's been good overall. It was a little rough during COVID. When everybody was getting on the plan all at once. Well, starting to claim hours all at once. And honestly, I would call in. I know that the phone lines were down. I think the other two ladies can agree. I mean, the phone lines were just down at ESD, but you could still get into shared work. You could call that alternate number just for shared work. And, maybe I had to wait 10 minutes, but the other side of the spectrum on the regular side of ESD, uh, they just weren't answering calls. They couldn't answer calls. There were too many calls, and that is very frustrating as an employer. And so to be able to get through to shared work eventually really helped. And they would answer me in emails too, as much as they could without the confidentiality issue getting in the way. And it was a good experience. It was frustrating for all during that period to get through to anybody with questions. And I know my employees struggled a bit, some with adjudication, But it worked out and it was fine. So I think that was just situational. Overall, I really think that you're very accessible as a team and you help each other. And if you don't have an answer, you'll just say, you know, I don't know, but let me get back to you on that. Let me call this other department or whatever. And, you know, agents have been helpful to me in other ways too, not just with SharedWork. So, and I know that's not within their scope, but they're certainly willing to help. So whoever's on your team over there, you guys are doing a good job.
We have had very little need for additional support, but anytime we've reached out, everyone has been super helpful. Either prompt by email or, just being able to call a number and getting through to someone immediately without getting stuck in a phone tree. Um, I think another benefit to add is that I have had employees have questions on the filing process where I've said, hey, I don't really know on my end. What I see is not necessarily the same as what you see. Here's a phone number for SharedWork, and they've gotten answers immediately. So that's really nice for them to have that as a resource as well.
For some reason, it's just not out there and not, businesses don't know about it. I don't know why that is. Um, but they should know from the very beginning that they start their business. You know, you have to open an account with the employment security department. So at that time, maybe that would be the best time to, give them materials, even if they don't ask for it, put it on the main page or something. I don't know, but I didn't know about it for many years. I had no idea you're coming up on an anniversary. That's shocking to me because I had no idea. And yes, it would have been very helpful for many of the years that construction was struggling. That would have been great. That would have been really great. The one thing for me personally, um, is that it's daunting a little bit. The application process was previously more complicated than it is now. Honestly, it's gotten very much streamlined. It's become easier for me to manage it. Before, it was more of a big deal, and you know, there would be some hesitation there on my part because
Sure.
it was a lot of work, and it's so much easier now, so much better. Um, and I think if you just get signed up with the program, it it benefits you as much as you use it. If you don't use it, that's your deal. That you can use it as much or as little as your employees want to use it. And it's really up to the employee. The employer doesn't really do that much. We just kind of oversee, answer questions if there are any. But once they get into that rhythm of doing it, I think it's easy and, like I said, much more streamlined than it used to be.
Yes, so I agree that there's a lot of people out there that just don't fully realize the potential benefit that is available out there. Thinking that it's too difficult to enroll, the perception that, this is a government program, so it's probably going to be kind of complicated. Or with that thinking, okay, what's the catch? And then also just worrying about the possible negative reaction from employees or the potential to lose someone great over, the sacrifice. So, which again is just a perception and luckily was exactly the opposite of what I've experienced. So,
I think it's just a no-brainer. Um, None of us have as much as control over the flow of business as we'd like to think that we do. Um, it's at least in my industry and Aaron's and Jen's, it's very driven by what government agencies, the feds, decide to do with the interest rates. The housing market is, it drives this country, and all the people that work within it really need to be proactive, and sort of we're reacting to what's being put forth without any consultation whatsoever to the people who actually work in it. And I think if you just sign up for the plan, it's hard to see over the horizon, what's going to happen and what they're going to do. So I think being preemptive instead of reactive is a lot better in this situation.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say it's
Thank you.
absolutely worth signing up for. You have nothing to lose. And to kind of piggyback off of what she was saying, we try to foresee the market cycles the best we can and anticipate what our business is going to do. And I know for our industry, when COVID hit, it was like, oh my gosh, here we go. This is going to be terrible, as I'm sure a lot of people said. And then our industry skyrocketed and went crazy, and we were so busy. And now finally, 3 years later, now we are experiencing the slowdown that so many other businesses did during the COVID years. So you just never know when it's going to happen. But the process, it's streamlined, it's easy for an employer. Even if you don't end up utilizing the program, there's no penalty, so you might as well sign up, and have it in place as you navigate these evolving markets.
Get on one of your hosted seminars, informational sessions, and get the application submitted. It was very easy, far more streamlined than what I had heard as well. I'd heard that you guys had a difficult process back years ago, so I was pleasantly surprised when I did my application and had my approval back the next day. So just having that in place, we had it in early. We didn't actually start participating in the plan until the first of the year. So it was just nice to know it was there. And it was even nice for our employees, like Suzette had mentioned, just taking the anxiety out of knowing that there was a program in place that was going to assist our staff and make them feel more comfortable with the process. And then having a representative of the program within your staff or your office. I have 75 employees that we're working with. So everybody is unique and different in their financial situations. So having a representative that can be the liaison between the staff and your team and helping ease those fears of the unknown is the best advice I can give to for the program.
Discussion is important, and I think having it as a group is essential. Having an open forum group meeting. You know, my staff has seen the benefit of it. My job foreman here at our shop is on board with it, and he has been from the beginning. They look to each other for support and cues about sort of what's going on. But I've always had a really open communication with my employees. And it's really something that they're participants in. It's not something that's being put upon them. Um, that's the key, I think, that you just tell them that, with these interest rates, whatever your situation is, it might be a little bit slow right now. I value guys so much that I don't want to lose you to another company. Other companies are struggling too. So there's no guarantee that if you got laid off, hired by someone else, that you'd be able to stay there because you'd be low man on the totem pole, right? I mean, you've got so many years here. If you can just put all the benefits out there, maybe talk to somebody who's been on the program in your industry, and I think that would be really beneficial for your foreman. If he's got questions, I would have him ask them just right out in front of everyone.
And I think also it's really important how you frame it to your employees. And so to really be aware of your mindset going into it, to make sure to point out the positives, to be really transparent with, hey, this is what we're going to do for the foreseeable, next 2 months. And then we're going to reevaluate it at that time. And then we're going to decide what the best way is to go forward at that point. And making them realize that, hey, this is not a forever plan. This is just, for right now.